Have you ever wondered why no one seems to stay in Alaska? Sure, you've seen the photos, endless mountains, northern lights dancing across the sky, rivers so clear you can see the rocks on the bottom. It looks like a dream, doesn't it? A place untouched by time, wild and beautiful beyond words, but that's only part of the story. If you spent more than a vacation here, you'd start to notice the cracks beneath the beauty, empty houses, quiet streets, schools with fewer kids each year. People leave and they don't always come back. So what's really going on? Is Alaska too harsh, too remote, too wild? Or have we, in our modern comfort, forgotten how to live with nature instead of on top of it? Because living here isn't just about soaking in the views, it's about fighting darkness, the literal kind in winter and the emotional kind that comes with it. It's about being okay with silence so deep it echoes, about facing storms that don't just rattle windows but shake your sense of safety. This isn't a vacation spot. It's a test, of grit, of patience, of who you are when the world falls quiet. Today we peel back the layers and expose the harsh truths behind Alaska, the beautiful beast that no one dares to tame, because paradise isn't always livable. Imagine waking up and the sun hasn't risen in weeks. In parts of Alaska, like Utqiagvik, the northernmost town, darkness lasts for 65 straight days. No sunrise, no golden hour, just blackness. Now flip it. In the summer, the sun doesn't set. For 80 days straight, it floats above the horizon, bathing the land in relentless daylight. It messes with your sleep. It distorts your sense of time. It breaks your body's rhythm. But that's only where the suffering begins. Winter temperatures in interior Alaska can reach minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 51 degrees Celsius. Your eyelashes freeze. Your car battery dies just trying to exist. People plug in their vehicles overnight or risk being stranded in the dead cold. In 2021, the city of Fairbanks recorded 31 consecutive days below zero. Not below freezing, below zero. And when storms roll in, they're not just bad, they're biblical. Blizzards can bury small towns for days. Avalanches wipe out entire roads. Moose wander into neighborhoods. Bears dig through your trash. In the village of Nome, supplies sometimes have to be flown in or shipped across frozen seas because roads don't exist. And when the snow melts, flooding begins. Ice jams cause rivers to overflow. In some towns, the only road out is by plane. Mentally, it takes a toll. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD, is more than a buzzword here. It's a quiet epidemic. Rates of depression and alcohol abuse are among the highest in the country. Suicide rates, especially among indigenous youth, remain tragically high. Living here is not just inconvenient, it's war against nature. Locals have survival rituals. Some bury extra gas cans in the snow. Others keep go bags packed in case they're stranded. Emergency radios are a staple. And yes, many carry firearms, not for protection from people, but from wolves or grizzlies. One woman from Bethel said, "You don't run errands here, you plan expeditions." Because in Alaska, just living is a full-time job. Alaska has oil, Alaska has salmon, Alaska has tourism. So why is it one of the most expensive states to live in? Start with the basics. A gallon of milk in rural villages can cost $11. A loaf of bread, $6 or more. Fuel can reach $9 per gallon in remote areas. Groceries have to be flown in or shipped across frozen terrain, which means delays, spoilage, and skyrocketing prices. In some villages, when the barge doesn't come in, store shelves sit empty for weeks. Utilities? The average electric bill in Alaska is $145 per month, one of the highest in the US. And heating in winter, brace yourself for $400 to $600 a month just to not freeze. even with Alaska's famed Permanent Fund Dividend, PFD, which pays residents a yearly check from state oil revenues. The relief is small. In 2023, the payout was around $1,300, but one PFD doesn't stretch far in a land where basic needs cost double or triple the national average. Then there's housing. A modest home in Anchorage might set you back $400,000. Rent isn't much better. In some areas, two-bedroom apartments go for $2,000 a month. One case study, a young family in Wasilla with two kids and a $70,000 per year income. Their rent is $1,600, childcare $900, groceries $1,000, gas $500, and heating oil $400 a month. That leaves nothing for savings. Emergencies? Forget it. As one father said, "We don't live in Alaska, we scrape by in Alaska." The irony? A place rich in wilderness, water, and oil is starved for affordability. In Alaska, roads don't connect most of the state. Seriously, over 80% of Alaskan communities are not accessible by car. That includes dozens of villages and some towns with populations over 1,000 people. You want to get there? You fly, need to see a specialist, a dentist, a hospital. Prepare to board a bush plane. Let that sink in. In emergencies, time is measured not in miles but in weather delays. Even in more developed cities like Juneau, the state capital, there is no road in or out. You fly or you ferry. Internet, spotty at best. In remote villages, video calls are impossible. Many schools struggle to teach remotely. High-speed internet can cost $300 a month and still fail during storms. Banking is another issue. Some villages don't have a single bank or ATM. Residents rely on mobile banking or fly to Anchorage to access their own money. One woman in Kotzebue traveled 280 miles by plane just to give birth. Education is equally strained. Small villages might have one teacher for multiple grades. Some kids board in Anchorage for high school. For seniors, single parents, and the disabled, life becomes isolating or impossible. The infrastructure isn't just inadequate, it's prehistoric. And without it, many Alaskans aren't just far from convenience and identity, they're cut off from help. Alaska is the only U.S. state where it's common to see a bear in your backyard. Grizzlies roam the forests. Black bears rummage through trash. Moose, massive, unpredictable, and territorial, casually wander city streets. And they're not just cute photo ops. In 2023, a man in Hope, Alaska, was mauled to death by a brown bear while trail running. In the same year, a child was seriously injured by a moose during a school recess. In some communities, children aren't allowed to walk to school alone, and not because of human predators, but because a wild animal might cross their path. Locals keep bear spray in their cars and on their belts. Guns aren't just for sports, they're survival tools, but wildlife isn't the only danger. Urban crime is on the rise, especially in Anchorage. Property crimes, car theft, and even homicides have increased. Some rural areas face alcohol bans due to high abuse and domestic violence rates. In isolated villages, law enforcement may be hours or days away. In 2019, the U.S. Department of Justice called rural Alaska's lack of police an urgent public safety crisis. So whether you're out in the wilderness or in town, fear isn't a rare feeling, it's built into the culture. As one local put it, you don't just live here, you survive. Alaska isn't just a place, it's a world, one that doesn't always make room for outsiders. Many who move here come for the dream, off-grid living, endless beauty, a fresh start. But what they don't realize is that Alaska doesn't bend for you. You bend for it. Cultural shock hits hard. In rural villages, subsistence living isn't a lifestyle trend. It's a necessity. Hunting, fishing, trapping, smoking meat, storing enough supplies to last the long winters. Outsiders who don't understand this rhythm struggle to belong. There's also deep indigenous heritage here, rich, powerful, sacred, but the scars of colonialism still linger. In some regions, native languages are dying out. Access to education, healthcare, and clean water is still unequal, and with rising modernity, many young native Alaskans feel pulled between two worlds, tradition and technology. One high school senior said, "I want to honor my elders, but I also want Wi-Fi, music, and a future, and I don't think I can have both here." In isolated towns, life moves slower. Social events are few, opportunities are limited. Many teenagers dream of escaping to Seattle, to Anchorage, to anywhere with roads and options. Meanwhile, the older generation fears their culture is disappearing. As one elder told a visiting journalist, "We taught our children to hunt. Now they hunt for jobs on the internet." In cities like Anchorage, the urban-rural divide is clear. Gentrification pushes up housing prices. Cultural clashes bubble under the surface. For immigrants and refugees who resettle in Alaska, often through federal programs, the cultural contrast is jarring. Long winters, limited community support, and economic pressure make integration difficult. In cities like Anchorage, the urban-rural divide is clear. Gentrification pushes up housing prices. Cultural clashes bubble under the surface. For immigrants and refugees who resettle in Alaska, and often through federal programs, the cultural contrast is jarring. Long winters, limited community support, and economic pressure make integration difficult. Alaska is breathtaking, but it can be isolating, warm in hospitality, but cold and in reality, and many come to love it, only to leave. Because for some, the very land that raised them won't let them grow. If Alaska is the front line of beauty, it's also the front line of climate change. And here, the future looks unstable. The glaciers are melting at unprecedented rates. The Mendenhall Glacier near Juneau has retreated more than 2.5 miles since 1929. It's now receding so fast, tour companies update their maps yearly. Permafrost, the frozen ground beneath much of Alaska, is thawing. That sounds minor until you realize entire roads, homes, and airports are collapsing as the ground beneath them buckles. In some regions, sinkholes appear overnight. Buildings tilt, runways crack. Engineers can't build fast enough to keep up with the damage. And the coastline, villages like Shishmaref and Kivalina are being swallowed by the sea. Rising ocean levels and increased storm surges are destroying homes. Salt water intrudes into freshwater supplies. Entire communities are preparing to relocate, not by choice, but by force of nature. One US government report calls it managed retreat. But for the Inupiat and Yupik peoples who've lived there for thousands of years, it's cultural exile. Then there's the wildfires. Yes, even in Alaska, in 2019, wildfires burned over 2.5 million acres, sending smoke across the state and choking out summer skies. As temperatures rise, fire seasons grow longer and deadlier. And let's talk food. Salmon runs are declining. Caribou migration patterns are shifting. Hunters say the animals are harder to track. Elders say the land is changing faster than memory can keep up. Add to that global pressures, more companies want to drill, more tourists want to come, and more governments want to develop what little wild land remains. So even if you survive Alaska today, tomorrow is not guaranteed, and yet some never leave. They stay, they endure. Not because they must, but because they love this land in a way words can't explain. Meet Mary, she's 68, Athabascan and lives in a cabin with no running water near the Yukon River. She chops her own wood, hunts with her son, and hasn't left the state in over 30 years. This land raised me. It took my husband, but it also gave me my strength. Meet Daniel, a commercial fisherman in Homer who lives half the year on a boat. He says the ocean saved him from addiction, the silence, the storms, the responsibility of staying afloat. Meet the Eskimo elders of Nome, who teach children to sew seal skins and tell stories under the stars, preserving a language and a lifeblood that the modern world has forgotten. They stay for tradition, for land, for freedom, for faith, for peace, for the way the snow glows under a full moon. Not all are born here. Some come from New York, Seattle, Florida, running from something or seeking something deeper. And somehow Alaska meets them at that crossroads of loss and discovery. But for every person who stays, another quietly slips away. One teacher we interviewed packed up after 5 years in Bethel. I loved it, but I missed my family. I missed Target. I missed warmth. A young Inupiat woman left Nome for college and never came back. I'll always love it. But I don't think I could raise a family there, not with the climate, not with the cost. And so Alaska remains a paradox, a land of breathtaking love and quiet heartbreak. Alaska is not just a state, it's a dream wrapped in snow and silence. It's an ancient place, raw, untamed, and majestic, but it's also a place of extremes where a sunrise can take your breath away and a winter storm can take your home, where the land gives generously and takes just as fast. It's heaven and hell wrapped in one stunning package. For some, it's a test of strength. For others, a sanctuary of solitude. And for many, it's simply too much. Because Alaska doesn't just challenge your wallet or your schedule or your body. It challenges your soul, the very things that make it beautiful. The wildness, the silence, the distance are also what make it unbearable for many. And so the cabins sit empty, the villages shrink, the dream flickers, but Alaska endures. It always will, because some places aren't meant to be easy. Some places aren't meant to be lived in by many. Some places are only meant to be admired from afar. If you want the truth behind more forgotten corners of our world, subscribe now, because the next place we uncover might be even more surprising.